Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I see you real soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you. And I think you'll have to listen. Because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop. We will not stop.
Sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so bright. It's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart. Doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this?
I
You cannot go
Baby,
here.
baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled to
who are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hey family, how is everybody doing? Yes, how is everybody doing? Today is October the 10th, 2025. You guys, we're going to take it back. We're going to go back in about, I think it was like 2021. There was a child named Garner. I don't know if you guys know about it, but we're just gonna go back and give a little bit of thanking God for everything. And like check this out. So this kid named Garner, he was what, like 4 or 5 years old. I need to pull it up because there's an update on the Naziah case. Shut up. Let me see what's going on here real quick. Okay. We'll talk about that too. I didn't see that. So I guess Jarvis appeared in court 2 days ago. Let me look. It just popped up. I don't know why. But okay, the man accused of killing Naziah Harris appeared in court on separate sexual assault case. October the 8th. The man accused of sexually assaulting his relative, who is also facing charges for allegedly killing a Detroit teen who went missing in January 2024. assaulting his relative. So Jarvis, who was charged with sexually assaulting Naziah, appeared in court on the 8th. Oh, they got that hearing right here. No. That can't be it. But was charged on September the 26th, 2025, September, with the assault of an 8-year-old. What that woman doing? Okay. Authorities said he has sexually assaulted the child between 2021 and 2020. He appeared in court on the 8th at the hearing. Judge Sean. The preliminary hearing for October the 22nd is at 1:30. So we're looking at October the 22nd. That's going to be a Wednesday. If there is enough evidence in the case to send it to trial. So we'll get to watch all of that. And that's a separate case for Naziah, but still, if he's, oh my God, this man, he's doing too much. Anyway, it just popped up, so I needed to see what it, oh, he looks like he is so upset. He was in Zoom. So he wasn't actually physically present in the court. They had him on Zoom. So he's a monster. Anyway, let me go back to what I was doing, because that's why I wanted to give some. When it says that. Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, Nancy, how are you? Hey, Monique, what's going on? So let's get off into this. So Darriynn Brown was sentenced to life in prison for the 2021. Yeah, it was in 2021 for the kidnapping and murder of 4-year-old Cash Garner in Dallas, just before his capital murder trial was set to begin on October the 6th. So they had picked a juror for him and everything, and they were going to go to trial. If you guys don't remember, this little boy, he was 4 years old. His name is Cash. I went down there to Dallas because Dallas is like my backyard. Like, I can go to Dallas anytime. I just get in the car and go, or, get me a car and go. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I love Dallas. And so, that's kind of close to my heart. So, some people was like, oh, she jumped in the car and she went down there to Dallas and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, and met with, Darriynn Brown's mom and spoke with her and her fiance, boyfriend, live-in guy, whatever. Nice, very pleasant woman. But, to get a feel of what was going on, but actually talk to the neighbors, who seen what, who was the neighbors, where was they at, did they have any videos, did somebody see something that didn't want to talk to the police, and got a lot of information when I was down there, drove around the house, knocked on doors. Did you see anything? Did anything happen? What was going on? And, we got a lot of information, and it wasn't that we were looking for the kid. They, whoever had done this at that particular time, because we were looking at, there was Trevor. I think Trevor was the dad, and then he had Monica was a woman that had Cash. Now, I know some people be like, you didn't think he did it? No, I didn't. I tell you guys all the time, I didn't never think he didn't do it, because, you got to look at a couple of things. When we've been following cases all the time, to go against what the law say is kind of like you setting yourself up for failure. Okay? because they're going to know more information, whether they give it to you or not. They're going to know more information. And I know maybe they may not have all the right information or exact, but trust and believe they know a lot of stuff. The thing with this case is, and here's the thing, they were already setting the community up to, convicting this person, and he wouldn't have got a fair trial. Nevertheless, I believe in the law. You guys, I want you guys to know I believe in the law. So on May the 15th, 2021, Darriynn Bown was only but like what? I mean, he was a kid. He was like about 18 or whatever. But he allegedly had taken cash from his bed at Cash's girlfriend's house, which her name is Monica, and was later found on a residence street with multiple stab wounds. Why this happened, I couldn't tell you guys. Hey, Next Level, how you doing? I see you in the building. You guys make sure you share. Go ahead and click the button and share the live. The thing about this case was, competency. Competency. Was he okay to stand trial? Because if you've ever had someone in your family that was not competent to make decisions, people can talk them into things, or they had mental issues or whatever, you don't want them to have an unfair trial, first of all. Okay? Now, we are warriors for children. So, being warriors for children, we are for the children no matter what. Okay? And when I had went down there, and you guys know, pretty much right after I went down there, we quit talking about the case. And there was a reason behind that. And you guys don't know sometimes my reason behind that is because I had a mixed feeling there. But, like I said, I met the mom, met the stepfather, good people. She was so in belief that her son could not have done this. And I mean, he could not have done it. But there was facts there, like there's blood in the house. Is the baby's blood in the house? Things of that nature. A knife or something was there. And then there was this camera that normally was not set up at that location of house, but for that particular day, you guys know, there was a camera in the room. So you see this guy, someone walking into the room and picks up this baby out the crib. They don't go, stealing nothing. They're not there to get money or looking for drugs. They just go pick up this child and walk out the door. But they're covered up so they know that there's a camera in the room. So that's where there was people were like, Monica's son got this big afro, and and Monica wasn't giving the police all the information. She waited to call the police. And you have to look at stuff like, Why did she wait? Well, she probably waited because there was probably drugs in the house. She probably had to get rid of a lot of stuff so they can come in there and search or whatever. Get rid of the pipes and all the paraphernalia, whatever. Hey, what I'm saying is true. You guys know what I'm saying. That's what you do when you run a house like that. We did all kind of research trying to see if someone else could be liable for this child's demise. But to my recollection of what happened, because this is like, you're talking about 4 years ago, I really could not find a lot wrong with what the police were saying. Okay? And the reason why I say that is because you got to look, Trevor being the dad, he just left this kid with Monica. So that looks kind of weird. That's kind of like, why would you take your kids to a new girlfriend woman house and then you get up and leave without your kids and she got your kids? You know what I'm saying? So, it doesn't make sense. But people that does drugs, they will get up and go where they got to go and do what they got to do, be with another woman. They know that woman's taking care of the kid or whatever. They're with a woman that don't want the kids, or he hadn't told her that he got, these 2 twin little boys. Or Monica probably didn't want to give them the kids or whatever. She kept them in the house. She never would let them go outside and play by themselves and stuff like that. Like the neighbor said, he barely see the kids. He had to give them sandwiches and stuff. And, and Monica makes them breakfast, and they eat the breakfast. And, we remember things of that case. But at the end of the day, DNA don't lie. Like, how would they get this baby's blood in your house unless somebody's setting you up? Or did Monica's son run over to Darriynn Brown's house in the middle of the night and change clothes or whatever? It's always a question because those questions were not answered, And some people got angry with Monica. They were mad at Monica. They were mad at Monica. And when you have a family that really don't speak, which was Darriynn's family, they spoke to me. You guys, they spoke to me. And I still got the mom's number. I don't call her or anything, but, I just knew or felt, I can't say I know, but I felt like Darriynn had a mental problem from the get-go. He really did not know how to spell his name. He did not understand certain things. I believe that he is a mental disturbed person. Very, very. Like schizophrenia. He had been into a hospital weeks prior to this situation for schizophrenia. Sometimes we don't read between the lines when people need help. And it can get real dangerous, And I'm going to say this, you guys, because, I had to get all over somebody I really love just right before I came on here. And because they're showing me signs of certain other things, and I'm like, hey, you need to slow down, da-da-da-da-da. And then they was like, yeah, this happened, that happened. Somebody that I know was in the club last night. Now they're fighting for their life. And all these 3 people that was fighting in the club, I don't know them personally. I know maybe 2 of them. But nevertheless, It's a small town I live in, so news get around. I did not even know that this even happened. I just was like, hey, this is what's happening. And I tell you guys this because I don't want something to happen to your kids, or I don't want something to happen to your grandkids. So when you start seeing signs of different behaviors, something's going on. Hey Phyllis, how you doing? So, and I'm just saying that because just like, right, everybody's got a loved one, whether it's your kid or your grandkid or something. And I know I told you guys, I said, yeah, my grandson was in a car accident. He totaled his car that I got him. Anyway, so we start seeing signs. We start seeing signs that you're not moving like you normally move or whatever. I'm not saying he's mentally disturbed or whatever, but you're getting around people of not good. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to kind of, and there is no book to tell you what's going to happen in the future. So you don't know what to do when you start seeing these signs when somebody, a loved one, has either dependency of drugs, alcohol, schizophrenia, or whatever. But, I do believe Darriynn Bown was in love with Monica. And Monica was using Darriynn Bown. I believe Darriynn Bown was very schizophrenia. And he really needed some help. Now, one thing, and people be like, oh, they don't deserve to live. I'm going to tell you why he pleaded guilty. Because he done it probably, you know what I'm saying? Let's be honest with everybody. Hey, Lisa Taylor, how you doing? Phyllis D. Hart, I see you in the building. But do we actually kill people that are sick? The United States do not do that. I'm telling you guys right now. You know it, and I know it. United States don't. We don't kill our sick. We don't put them down. So they waited. And they had to convince him, which we know if he probably went to trial with DNA evidence that it was him in that house. And they got evidence it was him in the house, that he would get the death penalty. In Dallas, they have the death penalty. And this is what I tell you guys, it's good for you to vote for certain judges and commissioners, senators, because if you make the sentence where there is a there's some kind of accountability of what you've done and make it strong, you won't spend so much money trying to prove something. A person would be like, look, yeah, they waited until the last minute. They waited until October the 6th. From 2021 to October the 6th, thinking, because he was in a mental hospital. And then he got out the mental hospital and they started treating him as an outpatient. He will probably get the care he needs in prison and still being in a mental hospital, probably. I don't know. I don't know. But he's got life. And so Cash has gotten justice. 4 years, Cash was 4 years old. Cash will be 8 years old as of today. 8. The same age is my grandson. 8. Anyway, it says here that Brown's trial was delayed for years after he was found mentally incompetent. His defense argued he suffered from hallucinations and was in a trance-like state during the murder. A judge later declared him competent in January 2025. It took 4 years, and we talked about this. If you go back 4 years and say, what did SP say about this? I said, you guys, you know what? He'll spend the rest of his life in a mental hospital or in prison. That's what I told you. I didn't predict it. I already knew. His family did share with me that, any mother loves their child. And I tell y'all this all the time. And we can be very judgmental and be like, well, he needs to go to prison forever. They need to give him the death of da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. But it can happen to anybody's child. Have a mental breakdown. I'm not saying I feel sorry. And I kind of do. But we can't have those type of people living amongst us. I always ask the question, and I don't get in my personal feelings, but I always ask the question, would I want that person living right next door to me? And the answer is no. I would be scared. I would be at that bus stop picking up Pooh Bear, which I do anyway, but I would really be on it. You know what I'm saying? So that tells me that I know deep down inside, I'm not looking at my eyes and my ears. I know deep down inside, there's something wrong with that picture. Like, would I want to live next door to Monica? No, I would not. I would think there would be a lot of trash, a lot of people running in and out, drugs, I live by people like that already. There's some people that live, one house over across the street. And this girl, I seen this girl, and she grown, walking up and down the street, just talking to herself, just talking, just chittering, chattering. Ain't got a cell phone or nothing. She just talking, having a full conversation. I've talked to her. I've sat down and talked to her. And she told me many stories about what she's seen, what she's been through, what she's heard, drugs in her life, seeing demons, whatever, And so, I don't fool around with those type of people. I just get to know, like, yeah, okay. You guys remember there was a young girl living 2 houses from me. And she would go out in the street and scream and holler and go off. And we would have to call the police and the ambulance to come get her. And we'd be scared she's going to hurt herself. And she's going to run in front of a car. And she loses it. And then she'd be gone. And then a whole week go by. And she was going in my garage. And she was stealing stuff. She was stealing my soda and going in my mailbox. And she said, I don't know why I'm going in the mailbox, but I'm going in the mailbox. And I told her, I said, I had to tell her to stay away from my house. Because you're telling me you're doing these things, and you think people would think you come into my house, it's okay you to come to my house and go in my mailbox or sit on my porch. And I told her, I said, I'm giving you forewarning. to stay away from my house. I don't know if you guys remember. I can't even remember the girl's name. Anyway, I cared for the girl, but, she started doing a lot of things and catching rides from men, and they drop her off down the road or something, and they were looking for her, knocking on the door. Do you know where such and such? I dropped her off over here. No, you didn't drop her off at my house, and all this other stuff. And she said that's how she was getting money. I don't know if she was working the streets or whatever. But anyway, Miss Phyllis says we have people here in our building that we just don't have a choice. Just pray and be watchful all the time, especially when family, children come to visit me. Exactly. And remember, next door I used to have, I'm glad that their house burned and they sold the house, and there's a nice family over there. I don't particularly care for them. They keep their house clean. It's no drugs or nothing. It's just I really haven't even seen his wife. I've seen the man and I've seen the kids. And I mean, you see them so, they've been living there for like maybe 3-4 months now. And I just seen the kids the other day. One time. And they were getting in the car. Didn't see their face. That's a family that don't want to be bothered. That leave me alone. Like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't know, And that's the way, you have to do things. So the juror selection was set to begin on Monday. Well, I guess they hadn't even made the selection of the jurors. And then, he went ahead and pleaded guilty or whatever. So, there's a news article that says, sorry for trying to take your grandchild. Suspect in Garner homicide grabs sleeping 2-year-old in February. The 18-year-old accused of killing 4-year-old Garner, Darriynn Bown, now faces 2 more charges. One of the charges details another incident involving a 2-year-old girl in February of this year. So before Garner got taken, a 2-year-old, you guys remember we got all that information, and he was like, he's done this before. He's went in somebody's house while they were there and was trying to take a kid. In addition to kidnapping and theft, Bown is charged with injury to a child, elderly, individually, or disabling individuals. Additionally, he faces a second burglary charge. According to the affidavit for the burglary charge, Bown entered a man's home and started going through all the rooms and closets, picking up a kitchen knife. The man demanded that he leaves. The homeowner managed to get Bown out of his home, but he came back and started kicking and damaging an interior door between the garage and home. The homeowner opened the door and Bown re-entered, punching the man in the forehead, according to the affidavit. It was then that Bown allegedly walked into the living room where the man's 2-year-old granddaughter was sleeping. He grabbed her and started carrying her towards the laundry room at the back of the house near the garage door. Her grandfather demanded Bown let her go, but he continued with the child towards the door, fearing Bown would take the child from his home. The man physically removed her from his grasp, according to the affidavit. The grandfather put the girl back on the couch, then confronted Brown in the kitchen. Brown allegedly punched the man in the face, then fled out the back door. The child's grandfather later told police that she was startled and began crying when she awoke to Brown's holding her. At the time of the incident, the homeowner decided not to press charges. 2 weeks after the incident, the man ran into Brown at Walmart. He told Brown that Brown approached him and apologized, saying he was sorry for breaking into his house and trying to take his grandchild. So the family knew that Darriynn Brown was dealing with some stuff. See, you guys, I'm going to tell you something. Love runs deep. Blood and love runs deep. You guys remember. See, I have to take you back down memory lane a little bit. But there's always signs before a situation happens. And that when that came out, that there was a police report that the guy that lived a couple of houses down did not. And I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you the man did not probably want to press charges because he was of the same color, maybe. You know, or he was a Christian. He didn't want to give the kid a bad rap. You know? But you know, if that would have happened, the family knew it was more than a possibility that Darriynn Brown, her son, did this. But the mom knows. But we love our children. But, you know, if we really, really love them, and I'm not saying she didn't really, really love her kid. Like I said, there's no book. We need to get them help. You know? Child abuse detectives met with the man on May the 18th to interview him about the incident that was on February the 8th. And he told them he now wanted to press charges against Brown. Because, you know, he felt some kind of way. He felt like if he would have pressed charges then, this wouldn't have happened to Cash. So anyway, you guys, I wasn't going to stay on here long today because I know that you guys are growing in your knowledge, understanding how to detect things. You guys, we're just come on here just so that you will have an open mind to things that don't happen in your everyday life. And when they do, you can remember, okay, I see this sign, I see that. So when people tell you there was nothing going on in Nazaria Harris and her baby daddy, then an uncle and a niece relationship, that's a whole hunk of bull. A whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of signs. And then if we're waiting until something happens, you know what? Then it's going to happen. Because I'm going to tell you something about demon time. Now, you ain't got to be an expert. Okay. You see how that did what it did? It just shut down. As soon as I say demon, I'm gonna tell you something about demon time. It just, my computer just shut down. This is why I do what I do. Like I said, I'll be here. I may be missing some things because guess what? Life happens to everybody. It rains on the just and the unjust, okay? So things happen. But we come on here so we can come together and understand. And when we're going through it, our family's going through it, our daughters, our sons going through it, our grandsons going through what we consider demon time. Let me tell you about it a little bit. Like I said, I'm not no expert. But one thing that for certain I know, they are more patient than you. Okay? They will wait and they will be around. They're not sleeping while we're not praying, while we're not talking to our kids or spending time with our kids. They are right there. You know, when I think it was Peter when it says when he tried to go do good, bad and evil is always around. Always. Always. I'm not giving them no glory. I'm telling you guys, better start doing what you're supposed to be doing. Stay in prayer. Keep your mind set on good things with the Lord. I'm telling you. It's true. And until it hits home, I'm going to tell you right now. I see 10 people in the chat. We usually used to have 100 or more. People are going through. And you know what happens when people go through? When people go through, they don't have time to listen to you tell them to stay prayed up. They ain't got time for that. They trying to figure it out. Well, I'm telling you what it is. Oh, it's very time consuming. I've had people go through things and then they come back a year later and be like, well, I was going through this and I was going through that. I was praying and I was embarrassed and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, this happened. That happened. I lost my job. I got in a wreck. My kid died. My grandchild died. I got back on drugs. I got evicted from my home. Yeah. And one by one, anytime when anytime that life throw you all these lemons and you are just thinking you're so strong, you're such a strong, good person, Christian person that goes to church and can speak in tongues and always say a verse here and there. It's time. It is time to do right with God and quit playing games with Christ. Okay? It's time. You better start not only speaking it, you better start praying. You better start getting on your knees because guess what? It can happen to you, your grandkids, it can happen to anybody, you guys. You ain't even got to know the person. They can be living right down the street. They could be in your family and just lose it right then and there. And now you dealing with a situation. Didn't ever think that it could be a situation. In my opinion, Miss Tina Powers is in the building. She says, in my opinion, I think Grandpa should have pressed charges. Cash would have still be here. Okay. I'm going to tell you something, Miss Tina. And in the world, yes, you would think that. But to be honest with you, Cash would not be here. You know why? Because Cash is not here. You understand what I'm saying? Everything happens for a reason, whether we understand it or not. But life will correct itself. Cash will still not be here. Just like Emmanuel. If the judge would have sentenced or put Jake in jail, people say Emmanuel will still be here. No, he wouldn't. I'm just being honest with you. I mean, I know it does not make sense, but he wouldn't. And I'm going to tell you why. I may not even can explain it, but once you know God, you know for a fact that it is not going to happen unless God allows it to happen. That's and there's no explaining it. There's no explaining it. It's like, because we serve the God that I serve ain't gonna let it happen unless it's supposed to happen. For whoever to learn something by it, the grieving that we have to go through like I said, it rains on the just and the unjust. But if he's not here, he's not supposed to be here, because that was his time. Even as a child, we feel the adult way of saying that it's that person. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it ain't that person's fault or the person that did it. I'm saying if that child is gone, that child is gone because it was that child's time. You know? It's just the way it is. Because when we start looking at people, we start accusing, and true fact that Jake might have something to do with it, and his wife, can't remember what her name was. I don't know why I want to say Amanda. I know it's not Amanda. Rebecca. That's her name. Jake and Rebecca. You know. But there's no way to explain this. And I know, Tina, I know it makes us feel good when we can probably think we can put our finger on it. But, like we're not learning from our mistakes. We're not. Phyllis say, see, some people, they know what I'm talking about. There's no explanation. It's his. Everything in this world is his. Everything. And the Bible says this. If I don't believe absolutely nothing, and I'm just telling you guys, this is me. This ain't got to be you. You can have your faith. You can believe what you want to believe. But in all reality, at the end of the day, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess And if that is a part of that divine destination, that person had to die at 3 or 4 or 2 or 1 or conception or never been here or whatever, or this happened or that happened. We live in a dualistic world. Something's got to happen or we will not change. And I trust God even when my mother died. Okay. I don't have to accept it. It is what it is. But I know. That's why sometimes people get mad at God. If you ever been mad at God before, raise your hand. I've been mad at him. When I thought I was there. I thought I was the Christian. I thought I was the chosen one at one particular time. You couldn't, like, yeah, I'm a believer. Yeah, I am a believer. But the way I was taught was like, God is good. Surely he wouldn't do this or he wouldn't do that or wouldn't let that happen. It's life. If he allowed it to happen, he allowed it to happen. He don't have to answer to nobody. And so I just trust that he has this perfect plan, and whatever it is, I'm on board with it. And I leave it alone, because if I even try to understand it, yeah, I'll be mad or I'll get hurt. Not understanding why you took my child or why you took my grandchild. Yeah, I'm hurt, I'm crying, and I'm pleading, yes. And you can't say, because people think, oh, you're so, you say this, you say this. You can't say, well, it happens. When Wetchicallum was on that stand, King was on the stand, and the lady said, yeah, was women coming down there to the shop and fighting and all this stuff? He said, it happens. And was the kids coming down there and the mother was trying to figure out such and such? He said, it happens. That's why I tell you guys, you have to listen to what people said. When King said that stuff, that tells me, you know what? He knows. He knows what happened to Naziah. Will he ever tell? I don't know. Because when you become grown, and when I say grown, you got to live a little longer. When you become grown and you see how this world is, you don't get mad at God and you don't point fingers. Yeah, there's someone physically responsible for those things that happens. But if you're not going to grow through it, instead of being mad and angry and frustrated or whatever, you still need to grow. Because we're all here for a purpose. And people be like, I don't know what my purpose is, or you're not walking in your purpose, or whatever your purpose is, or whatever. But, God loves us. And just like any father, husband, brother, doctor, Lord, everything that designed the world, that designed people, and it's his, it's kind of like, and I try to make this really simple because people say, you're far out there. No, really, I'm not. I just know I don't ever want to change, turn away, be angry, speak ill, because people are sick. Yeah, I do. I get angry, especially when it comes to the babies. I get angry. But my walk with him in Warriors for Children allow me to understand that the most evil thing in the world is hurting a child to me. To me, may not be to you or anybody else. Let me read just this one sentence to you guys, and so you can feel how I feel. This is about Cash Garner. He was laying in a pool of blood, had multiple wounds from what investigators say was a edged weapon, and did not have on a shirt or shoes. I tell you guys all the time, you really don't want to find these kids in these situations. It will stick with you, stay with you for the rest of your life. So when people out there searching, they searching for a kid to walk up or something, to walk up to him and say, "Hey, here I am," or whatever, And I'm like, no, you gotta have the stomach, even when you find someone dead. Have anyone in here found someone deceased? I have. I've seen them die, seen people die, seen my share, seen them cry, see them beg for more time, seen I've knocked on the door, let myself in my brother's house because it's as. And you know what? He was dead right there in front of me. I couldn't believe my eyes. And I'll never forget how hard he was when I tried to move him, and how bloated his body was. I'll never forget it. And I'm a nurse. So we hurt. We do. We hurt. And we're supposed to have feelings. God gave us those things so we can make decisions. He didn't give us feelings so we can just be like, we're supposed to pray for these people that demonic spirits has, led them in directions where they might see a different world than we see. And they hear voices and they see things that's not really there, or they're it's so wild. You have to either go to school or know somebody with mental health issues to know what I'm talking about. That, you pray, you stay in faith, no matter what, no matter how hard it rains, you keep God first. Whether you having a good day and just won the lottery, you keep faith and pray no matter what. Because that's what we sign up to be when we say we're a Christian. But we're challenged in this world every day. We are challenged. And things happen. We don't want things to happen. We want to live in a good world. But it happens. Things happen all the time. Like I told you guys at the beginning of this conversation, we've got a friend. I say we. I say me and my husband. We got a friend that is fighting for his life right now in the hospital. Last night, just going to a open bar, where they watch the game. They can watch the game and stuff. And end up trying to stop a fight. And that person got shot 3 times. So that's not my friend. That's my husband's friend. And I tell my husband, I say, hey, these guys and they could be good people. They were doing a good. See, people will go and be like, oh, he got shot. He was at the club last night. They were just, okay, on a Thursday night, they were there watching the game. The men go to this place they call the Legion. They call it the Legion down here in Wichita. And the men go there to watch the game. Well, if the men go there to watch the game, there's going to be some liquor. And there's going to be some loose women that, want money, liquor. They know that they're working men or whatever. And, everybody know everybody. And 2 men get in a fight and they know each other and this, that, and the other. And now one dead. One gotta be in jail because one is dead and one is fighting for his life. And they all know each other. Doesn't make any sense, right? It just don't make sense. One's trying to stop the fight and the other 2 shouldn't even be fighting. I don't even know what they were fighting about or whatever. Maybe something that was said about the game or whatever. You never know. You put a little courage liquor into somebody and you got some little hot women, somebody ain't gonna back down or whatever. And I tell my husband, he doesn't go to the Legion. He doesn't. He goes over his friend's house named Larry. I'm just gonna tell y'all guys what it is. But I tell him all the time. Matter of fact, me and my husband was talking last night while I was at work. And I told my husband, I was like, okay, because his mother's in the hospital. She got 3 broken ribs and a broken thumb. She got 3 broken ribs because they was doing CPR because she had died. Nevertheless, you guys, I tell you guys, I am going through it. Even though my mother-in-law don't care for me, I know. I pray for her. But my husband's been going to the hospital, staying at the hospital with his mom, and he had a little leisure time. He wanted to go to Larry's, and I told him, I said, you're doing too much. Larry normally goes to the Legion, and I told him, I don't like that. Because one of these days, you're going to follow Larry to the Legion. No, I'm not. Okay. Well, last night, if my husband said, I want to watch the game with somebody. Okay. Well, Larry was going to go to the Legion. Larry ended up coming back home because my husband wanted to watch the game with him. Larry, oh, come on to the Legion. Come on to the Legion. Man, I can't go to the Legion. 1, I can't be in a place like that. 2, my wife would not like that. And guess what? Larry would have been in the middle of that fight. So, oh, he could have died. It wasn't his time. It wasn't his time. But if he continues to go to places like that, be around people of that nature, yeah, birds of a feather do flock together. Thank you, Miss Phyllis. She said it's not pretty. No, it's not. We do got to live in this world, but we got to make right decisions. It may be very plain. The Lord tells us to live a quiet life. You know what that means? You ain't got to be in every spot and doing everything, and and you got to pick your friends wisely of where you're going to go with them and not. And you look for those signs like, yeah, I want to watch the game and nobody wants to watch the game with me. I tell my husband, like, why do you think we have Netflix now? Because you like watching movies. And why we can pick up the game at home so you can watch it at home. I don't want to watch it at home. Okay. Well, this opened your eyes, didn't it? Because one of the guys that's fighting for his life was in my wedding. Mm-hmm. And now when you go to the hospital, you're not only visiting your mother, you're visiting your friend, and then you got a funeral to go to, and then you're going to have to go to the jail and visit your other friend that done shot this one and killed the other one. Okay. That's a big pack of friends that you're dealing with. That's why I tell my husband, be very careful. Like sometimes you can force people and then they'll be with them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And then sometimes you have to make provisions that, they're loose people. You know what I'm saying? Without saying what I'm saying. Like I don't run the streets. I don't run to people's houses and things. I go to the store, I pick up my grandson, I go to work, I take care of business. Every blue moon, every now and then, I see my girlfriend here and there or something, or they call me, we chit chat, we might go out and eat at the restaurant or something, or she wants to go have coffee. But I be very careful who I'm around. I mean, literally, physically around. I go through a lot at work. I don't even like that. I was thinking about it today before all of this even came to my understanding. I was like, I'm gonna just tell you guys, I can't really get off into it, but a patient was crying, and so I asked what's going on, and the patient requested that she was in pain and she don't want to be moved. So not even knowing who moved her or whatever, I called for some staff to come in and help me reposition. Well, the staff that came in was the person that moved her in the first place, which I didn't know. And I said, well, somebody moved her, staff moved her, and she's in pain. And she's like, no, she's not. I said, well, she's been crying. She's like, no, she's not. I'm like, yeah, she was crying. She's crying. She's like, no, she ain't. Now, okay, I'm the nurse here. I'm trying to tell you, I walked in the room and the patient's crying in pain, and you're being staffed telling me that either I'm lying or I'm just making some stuff up. Now, I did not know that you was the one that moved her, but no, I am not telling you to give me your, I don't know, alibi or alleged story or what you think. I'm saying no. She was crying, and we need to move her and try to ease her out of this pain or whatever. And I will give her whatever, morphine and whatever else, Ativan, calm her down, and da-da-da-da-da, whatever. It's not an argument. It's not up for debate. What I'm saying to you guys, I don't, I, and then I've got to, and then the resident tells me that she wants them to not move her while she sleeps because it's very painful or whatever. So now something that was really small has became a big issue, and I'm between the patient and the staff. And I really got nothing to do with the situation but to make sure that she's not in pain. But I need the staff to do their work. So I can't be like, don't move her. She has to be moved at some time, or, So what I'm saying to you guys is, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, especially when you're not in the world. And, exactly, her guilt. I was trying to tell her I'm not arguing with her. I'm just telling her the facts, and we need to move her. And da 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 da. She wanted debate. She wanted to debate the situation. There's no debate. I said what I said. I say what I seen, and we're gonna do something about it, and that settles it. If she didn't want to help me, that's fine. Get someone else, but I still have to report the situation because the resident requested for me to report it. And the girl's a good worker. But this is what I do. I report it and wash my hands. I'm done. I did what I was supposed to do. That's all I got to do. Now, the staff is going to be mad at me, but I can't worry about that. I'm going to say this, you guys, because I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but like I said, the staff is a very good worker. She comes in, she works doubles, triples, whatever you need. She's a hard worker. She's always working. She's always giving. She's a very clean person, and she knows it all. That's why I guess she got a little lip with me and said, no, she's not crying. I said, yes, she was. She was like, no, she wasn't. I said, yes, she was. She was like, no, she wasn't. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but when I walked in here, what I'm saying to you is what I seen, and she was. It's like, let's not argue about it in front of the resident. It's kind of like, it's really rude, but nevertheless, I said she was, and we need to reposition her. She was like, oh, she's just mad. I'm like, oh my goodness, okay. It's crazy. So even in our work, we have to deal with people. And Tina, she's a nurse. She knows. Healthcare worker. You got to deal with people and their attitudes and things of that nature. Just don't get into no argument or debate. Like I said, I wasn't debating with nobody. I don't. People are like, you think you know everything. You know, when people tell me that, it's time for me to go. It really is. Because first of all, I've never said I know everything. I know about my life and what I'm going to do and what I believe and everything. I know that. And half of that I don't even know. But nobody but God knows everything. Nobody. So when people say that to you, it's almost like a slap in the face. Like, really? You saying this about me? Oh, you think you know everything. No, I don't. I don't have it figured out. That's why we talk and we communicate. But I do know one thing, and that's for sure. And it will be, you know, even when I think about it, I don't even have words to say. But I'm going to say this. Phyllis say, Maria say, should gotten all day. Phyllis say she could have just said, I just moved her, and if it made her uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it made her angry because she was in pain at the time, and she kind of heard the conversation of her saying, no, she just mad because we moved her or whatever, and then not only that, like I said, the disrespect. You're talking to your nurse, and you're acting like you got, like you're above that. Like you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I did. I don't know what you did. I know what I came in here and I saw. So, okay, you got a problem with that. You can go explain it to somebody else. But yeah, nevertheless, there would be some repercussions. Because I'm going to say this, and it is true, and we all know it. At the end of the day, it's a color thing, too. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's a color thing. Nevertheless, it is. But I'm still going to do what I was supposed to do. And it gets me in a lot of trouble. And somebody told me this at one time, and they said, they said they get in trouble because they do the right thing. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, it's life. And what we can do, and we're going to get off of here, what we can do, can't do it in a day, but ask for God to get closer to us. I trust and believe your life will be much better. Things are going to happen around you, and we're going to see it. And yes, Miss Tina, keep praying. And this is what I want to say. I can't remember who he was talking to, but he was talking to the disciples. I know Jesus was talking to all the disciples, but I don't know who said what. But nevertheless, Jesus asked him, who was he? And the disciples answered and said, well, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. You're the king, you're the son of God, or such. You're the Messiah. And Jesus said, you could not have known that unless my Father told you. Okay, the reason why I wanted to share that with you guys, and I paraphrased it. You can go in your Bible, look it up. Some of the words of what I said, you can find it by just Googling what I just said. But nevertheless, if you don't understand what that means, is, yes, check this out. Check this out. He said, you could not have known that unless my Father had told you. You know what I'm saying? So some people has asked for the answers, the truth, the knowledge, and they know. You're not going to change them. Nobody's going to ever be able to change me. It is what it is because he has given it to me. He has given me the answer. I have asked him. He has showed me. He has told me. He has spoken to me. And I know for a fact he is true in living. And no, I'm not crazy. No, it's not something I read. No, it's not something in church. No, I'm not going to get a reward or a ribbon. But I know. But some, they don't know. They think they know because they go to the church, or they wear the church clothes, or they know the verse, or but they want to know. And God is pleased with that also. He told me, he because I asked. But the only way in this world that you will be okay is if you haven't, you have to ask them to come in your heart. You have to be willing to let everything that you think or whatever, you got to let that go. Even if it don't make sense, you got to let that stuff go, because what God say, that's what it is. Period, point blank. No question, no debate. We're not going to have senses about it. We're not going to vote on it. That's what it is. And once, like I said, and there's no way in the world I will be, coming up in my 60s, I would know this. But my father told me. He let me know. Because I asked. And I'm not special. I'm special to him, but everybody's special. But if you really, 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 really want to know, you can ask too. It may not come today, but I guarantee you, I promise, I guarantee I put everything that I will. I invest everything. If you ask God, you know what? I know she's talking this, but I read the book. I know the verses. I trust. I love you. Yeah, I'm a Christian. But I really, 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 really want to know. I guarantee you, he would open up that door. And I guarantee you wouldn't want him you wouldn't ask him no other question no more. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't say, God, why the sun come up and then the sun go down? Why the birds singing today? Why the wind move and all? Because guess what? Because that's what he told him to do. And I told my daughter, my daughter was going through some stuff. I told her, not no recently stuff, but back months, maybe even a year ago. And I told her, I said, baby, do you not know that every raindrop has a name? That's crazy. I mean, you can read some stuff in the Bible that is crazy. And I mean, serious. Like every raindrop, every time it rains, just go outside and stand. And every time a patter of rain on your face, do you not know that God knows what you're going through? He ain't skipping a beat or nothing. You sitting there crying about something that you can't change. Stop. It is what it is. Go through it. Thank him for it. And keep on moving. Keep trusting in him, because the things that you don't know that he done already delivered you from, trust me, you want to thank him. My mom used to say this, and I used to think to myself, I'm like, my mom be saying some crazy stuff. She said, there go I. I didn't understand what she was saying. Something would happen to somebody and she said, but by the grace of God, there go I. And I'd be like, that's just old people talking. No, she's saying that could have been me. Maybe I was going down that road when that car crash happened. Or maybe that could have been my child that didn't come home. Or maybe that could have been my neighbor that walked in my house and snatched up my grandchild. Or that could have been my child that lost his mind. That could have been me. So have a little compassion for one another. You guys, I'm finna get off here. God loves you. Talk to him. And I love you too. By the grace of God, he be with us. You guys, peace.